Next, we have Purna Adith Kanahararachi. Sorry, that's a very long last name. Can Purna come up, please?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Purna. I'm a third year student of City School of Architecture, Colombo, Sri Lanka. I would first of all like to thank you all for giving us such a wonderful opportunity, and also for the people here for the wonderful hospitality. So back in Colombo, we were given the choice of doing 4 projects, as in out of that 4, we were given the liberty of choosing our own project. So out of that, I prefer to do the cinema complex. Cinema complex comes with a cinema, entertainment, and a retail arcade. So I would like to talk a bit about the context, because this is a map of the Colombo city. So what you could do, this is a land use map. So my site is located right there. So what you see here is that 2 main arteries going vertical. Those are like, this is more like the capital of Sri Lanka. So this is like the business hub. And then these roads lead to the southern part of the city of Sri Lanka, in the country of Sri Lanka. So this, actually this city, as in this town, is called Bambalapitiya, and this is more like the gateway to the city of Colombo in Sri Lanka. When you're coming from the southern side, this is going to be like the gateway. So you could see how the river development works. So what you see in blue is the commercial development. So this is more like a commercially biased area. In the next slide, I would like to show you, this is a streetscape that I've drawn. And what you see here in these pictures is how the life is like in the city of Colombo. So moving on, this is my SWOT analysis right before the design. So would like to point out certain things, certain really important things. I don't want to go into details. So one of the strengths is that it is located in a very commercial area, and also that it is located right next to the Indian Ocean. And when it comes to weaknesses, and also one of the main strengths is that usually the city of Colombo has a vibrant culture. There are a lot of ethnic groups like woven in together. So moving on, would like to jump into my concept. So what I basically wanted to do is that the first thing is that in my interpretation, I think film is some sort of it's sort of a magic created through, as I mentioned here, it's a scenic coordination of light, space, and movement, which becomes real through projection. So likewise, I thought maybe architecture is also something like that. As a student, I believe that when things like light, space, and movement come together, a properly functioning building would turn out to be. So the concept was actually since it's a cinema, since cinema is something that is in motion, the difference between a photograph and cinema is that photograph is a still thing, but when a movie is in motion, as in when you put a lot of photographs together, it becomes a movie. So the idea was to create a building that appears to be in motion by using dynamism as the building language. So as you could see, yeah. So in here you could see how I've approached the design. So basically here what you see is the site here. So in the initial sketches, I sort of created links from a road to a movie. I'll explain this later. This is the architectural brief of the design. So these are the things that I've looked before designing. The Delgan Meisel and then the Busan Cinema Complex, and also David Chipperfield's mall. So this is the site that I was talking about. So this area will be developed in my master plan. I've developed as a city center. So here you get the Majestic City and the Unity Plaza are already existing commercial establishments. And then so the 4 projects that we got are these. So I've oriented my building in such a way that it is facing the proposed station square, which is the main public area of the building. So moving on, this is my ground floor. I've kept the ground floor for the administration works.
Okay, thank you. It's time. Okay, any question? Okay, just show the slide. Finish? Okay.
I can't talk, right?
Yeah. Just show the slides. Any question and comment?
It's very interesting to see the cinema is being used as a typology for what I call creating social cohesion and public space. I think in most cities now, because of YouTube and social media, most people are spending time at home rather than going to cinemas. So it's interesting to see this project as real. I wanted to find out a bit more. Do you know about the technology for showing films? Why don't you go for a cineplex kind of technology rather than you have separate cinemas? And why is this? Why are you using this form as a basis for creating, if you want to call it an iconic object for Colombo?
Yeah. So like, thank you sir, for asking the question. Like I was saying, this road is currently used by vehicles, but like Professor Prasanna Desai was saying, the city, we also believe that city should be given back to the people, not to the vehicles. So in our master plan, I've turned this into a pedestrian street, and then so this entire thing, the block will work as a city center. And then the reason I've oriented this building this way is that the proposed station square, where the main public space of the entire city center would be located here. And in the section, you all could see that this is going towards that pedestrian road. You could see how the form is designed in such a way that it appears to be very inviting for the people who are entering the building or either exiting the building. And also the main design, the main reason behind this specific form came out of the initial design stages, is that what I basically did was I created links, because one of the things that lacks in the city of Colombo is permeability. So what I wanted to do is to do a building that has permeability. But instead of doing just a block building here and blocking, separating the St. Albans and the station road. So I sort of created links from St. Albans to pedestrianized station road, or from St. Albans to Majestic City, or from Unity Plaza here to the City Hotel here, or from the Station Square to the Bambalapitia, the main bus stand is here. So likewise, I've created links from a point A, from a significant point A to a significant point B. That's how the form, the building form came to be.
My question is you chose the program, right? The cinemas, right? But look, watching movie to me is actually a very solitary event. You watch by yourself. You don't interact with other people. So I see that this seems to be a very hot spot of the city that you are trying to create. But everybody coming for a very solitary activity. So why is that? Is watching movie a different thing to you? Or?
Yes, as in, let's say, I think compared to other projects that we had, was what you see here is the station. I'm just explaining you the other three projects. So we got the culinary school, station square, and a proposed city hotel. So out of that, what I was thinking is that when you take culinary school, it's more of a like an exclusive place, as in only the students could actually access it, not the pub. Unless there's an exhibition or something going on, people won't be able to access it. And when you take the station, in Sri Lanka, not everyone uses the train to go to work. And the city hotel is more of an exclusive thing. Not the public can go and look around. But if you take a cinema complex, this is not just a cinema complex, it's a cinema, retail, and entertainment arcade. So by choosing this project, I wanted to take up the challenge of serving all the social, political stratas in the society in Sri Lanka. And also about the, like you were saying about the solitary thing, in my section you could see all the cinemas are confined to upper levels. So what you see in the model, the two solid parts are actually the cinemas. Everything else is the public. What you get in the ground floor is a bazaar street and the administration work. And once you climb up the stairs, what you get is a food court, and you get this huge atrium in the middle. So from either way you enter, you come to the middle. There you get bubble lifts going up. So
Can I ask you what kind of films do we show here? Are these art films? Are these Bollywood movies? What are they?
it could be anything.
Could be anything. No, the question I asked is a very serious one. Because
It,
I'm trying to
it-
understand if indeed, as you claim, film is going to provide this popular mass cultural appeal. It's going to impact the street, enlivens the street, and all this crisscrossing that you talk about across the site. I'm thinking of all the cinemas I know in India where people are heckling, buying tickets, sitting down on the streets. Hawkers are all around them, and there's life, that's created around viewing of movies. So what is solitary entertainment becomes public. Now, I look at your building, I must say, my goodness, the only thing that will be shown here will be art movies. Some old French art movies, not Bollywood, because if it is, then it will be very garish, it will be very bright, very noisy, and this is really more of a museum art piece. So, I mean, here you are staging a kind of popular culture. So maybe, I'm not asking you a question, I'm just stating whether you are, in a sense, propagating a kind of culture implicit in this film what you call tradition.
Okay, thank you. It's time. The next.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kin Bobo from Myanmar.
How's the timeline? So we just or
We'll reach contestant 10 by 12 p.m.
only 10? Wow.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, judges, contestants, and distinguished guests. Today, I'd like to present about my project. My project title is Myanmar Fire Force. I'm Kim Bo. I'm a fourth-year student. I'm studying architecture from West Yangon Technological University. I'm from the Republic of the Union of Myanmar. Now, I'd like to explain about my site. My site is located in Myanmar, in Yangon. In the second photo, this is the red point is the Yangon, and the third photo is the zooming of Yangon, and you can see the side of Lighter Township. The red one, the Lighter Township is an industrial zone of Yangon. So I think it is essential to have so many fire stations there. This is the location of site. The green one, the red, the red one, the black one, the orange one line are the main road of this township, and the purple one is a road, but not the main road. My side is face to the road with the purple one. So you fire. How to say? Firemen, fire trucks need to go to the burning area. So urgently, so I choose this side, which can connect with the main road. And now I like to explain about the constructed fire station in Myanmar. When I research about the fire station in Myanmar, this is the Thai one for Myanmar fire station. The red one is the fire office, and the green one is the watchtower. In Myanmar townships, they construct the fire office like that. The fire office and fire watchtowers separate each other. I think it is not able to go from the office to the watchtower. The lines are the firefighter wheel to go to the watchtower. It is so far, so we cannot use the watchtower in the rainy season due to the slip and something problem. So far, is not good for the placing. So far, watchtower is not a good, I think. This is the type 2 in Myanmar. This is the second photo is a central fire station in Myanmar. I think this is a good one, but I like to combine the fire station and fire watchtower. So now I introduce about my concept. My concept is a combination of fire watchtower and fire office. And then I consider to be a modernized and useful than the constructed one, and I also use the principle of informal balance. And then I consider my fire.
Sorry, Kimbo.
Yes.
So you don't have time, and so show me your plan.
Okay. This is a step-by-step concept. This is about the watchtower, the two watchtower. This is about the upper one is the protection of the daylight over daylight and the rain. The lower one is to get the natural light sufficiently. Now the green arrows are for the light, and this is a shadow. And the black one is how I design the entrance. I made the entrance design safe to feed the firefighter safety because firemen rescues and save the person. So when they back to the fire station, they can feel safety. This is vice versa. This is the emergency waiting area for firemen, or they can rest here in the daytime. This is a balcony. This is a balcony for the firemen, who can control the apply and run.
Okay, it's time.
Yes.
You don't say anything. So you just show
Yes,
the
I will
slide.
show the plan. Yes, thank you.
Bobo, I want to ask you a simple question. Why do you have to struggle so hard to make a watchtower when nowadays you have technology of cameras?
No, in Myanmar, the technology is not rich in watchtower, but I want to combine the fire watchtower and fire office, them together. Yes, that's why I make a renovation when, so I choose this design. I make this design.
Yeah, I know you
Yeah.
chose that. I know you make that as a concept, but I'm saying as an architect, you must be very flexible.
Yes.
You must be able to use technology to your advantage.
Yes.
Sometimes, no solution is the best solution.
Yes.
And building is actually not good, you know. So the best building sometimes is no building. So in this sense, I think that you are trying too much architecture without thinking a bit more about the possibilities of technology. And I'm not talking about cameras. Now you have drones that you can use to send out to, do a reconnaissance, recce, right, of the sites. And you also have control rooms. So I think you should be very brave, to take technology, accept it, and see how it will change your architecture.
Yes.
Yeah?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I speak something. I only some suggestion, not a problem.
Yes.
Suggestion. From your design, I think for some young students, it's always we do these things. Your design is more focused to the outside. It's more focused to the what this building will be shown. So for architect or for designer, I think another thing is very important. You need to think about the interior. So how about the people, if they live inside or sit inside, what they want to see the outside. So this is very important. But your presentation is more and more talking about what this building look, or this is tall, this is, and important is inside, and the people can look in the city and some view or something like this.
Yes, I made specials about the two layer, the wash inside about interior. The two layer, the upper exterior is the washroom. I made it. How to say? This is I made a watchtower for the two block. Then I have no time to how to explain you that. So I just about the outside area so much. So I have no time to explain about the washroom area.
Okay, if so, say it now.
Okay.
So what is the relationship between the inside and outside, yeah?
And the upper two-story is about the watchtower, and then the fifth one is the watchtower for with the machine, and the firefighter can find the penny places which are using the machine, and then the upper one is for the freestanding using no machine, and they can find Microsoft or something, and then they can find where the bending space, where the area is bending, and then I connect them with the stair inside the fifth level. Yes, that's all. Thank you.
Any question? No? Okay, thank you. It's time.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, next.
Next, we have Lin Yulan from China. Please come forward.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lin Yulan. I come from Xi'an University of Technology and Architecture in China. This is the project I did when I was a first-year student in university. First year. The name of this project is From Tea to Room, Home in the Ray. I will introduce the project from three parts. The first part is cognition. Initially, tea has a strong flavor. After a while, The taste becomes mild and finally becomes a very light sweet. Life is like this process too. No matter how rich and marvelous it is, finally you will have to come back home and face yourself. So I hope my tea house is a shelter that can shelter you from wind and rain, and is a home that makes you feel relaxed and safe. The second part is design. I want my tea house located in a wet field, so the starting point is the relationship between people and the wet field. Here is the path to my tea house. Walking in the field, stepping down the stairs, and entering into the tea house. At first, the views are blocked, but when you sit down in front of the tea table, through a window you will see the tips of the wet crop. The feeling is just like you are sitting in the middle of the wet field and peeking into the outside world. In order to achieve such a relationship, I increased the height of wooden plank road and made it the same height as the vat. Walking on such a road is as if you are walking on the tips of the vat. It brings people along vacillation and wandering feeling. The floor of my tea house is 40 kilometers below the wet field's ground. People need to walk down the steps to enter into the tea house. When a person stands up, he cannot see the outside world, but when he sits down, the person's head is at the same height as the wet crop. Enjoying the tea while viewing the wet soaring to the wind, it brings you peacefulness and serenity of being hidden in the middle of the vast wet field. I want to make my design simple and clean, so my tea house contains only two spaces, entrance space and tea space. Finally, I made these two spaces combine like this way. The entrance and the tea space has an overlapping area, and they are merged together. In order to enhance the shelter and home feeling of the tea house, I use concrete as the building material and carve the space out of the concrete. Therefore, my tea house does not have walls. It only has a thick shell. The whole model was made by using the same approach. Here are some photos of my model. This is the overall appearance. You can see the person sitting in the tea house. The last part is drawing expression. This is the overall X metric. And this is the effect drawing. From the set plan, you can see that the tea house is located in a black garden of a museum. Sorry. This is the set plan. And this is the ground floor plan, elevation and section. It's very simple. That's all, thank you.
Okay, I want to I want to ask you some question. So I'm very curious, and it's very difficult to define the tea house. So we have the tea house in Japan and in Korea. So I don't know what is the meaning in China. And so how different the Japanese tea house or the Korean tea house? And so
No,
how different is
sorry.
it? It's a,
Sorry, I
and
don't
I'm also
know.
asking you the what is the ceremony in your work? Is a, do you have? Is a ceremony inside? Okay, you translate. Tea ceremony. In Japan, so we have a tea ceremony.
Taiwan, usually Taiwan have tea ceremony.
No, I'm asking. Not you. To answer, I'll answer for her. Japanese tea ceremony is a ritual. It's more than drinking, but to Chinese, it's drinking. Drinking is the thing. We don't do this and that. We just drink.
The Japanese is more ritual, and the Chinese is more material.
It's enjoying of tea. But I mean do we have the architectural style of tea ceremony?
Student history. Maybe we should speak loudly out to the audience. I think in the history of China, they should have some ceremony, but nowadays we lost this tradition, and Japanese keep it. Japanese probably have this kind of a ritual ceremony about the tea houses. Yeah. Well, I think she tried to recover this kind of tradition. Okay. Do you understand? So why this tea house so important to you at this moment in your design?
To be honest, because this is the
This is a course requirement, she said.
It's a first year course requirement. She never thought about.
I'm very surprising when I heard you are the first year student. Yeah, it's very. Yeah. But this work is she designed in first year. Yeah, it's very wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and so I'm asking you, so how different and so what is the tea ceremony inside? No, no ceremony. It's just only the space. Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'll ask you a simple question. Just now there was the discussion here about tradition of tea drinking, and that in the Japanese tradition it is very ritualistic. There are series of steps that you do, and the Chinese tradition we all concluded is actually very materialistic. We just drink tea because we enjoy tea, and we have, I think, it's actually. Yeah. Now the question for me is, in your thinking, is tea drinking a social thing or a solitary thing? Do you do it by yourself or you do it with friends? And if you do it with friends, how will your building accommodate few more people?
I think drink tea only myself is better, because I think when I was drink tea, I thought much about the past and maybe the memory. So I think I like drink tea only myself.
Recently, my friend gave me a very big stone plate of Chinese tea. So, I mean, very interesting to see the difference of a culture. But there is, how do you, if this tea house as if you had some more kind of image of how, I mean, to do the tea, I mean, making, I mean, so, because I like the idea of, you said that the curving space out of some massive. That's very good. But horizontal kind of a plate or floor, and another question is in that simple but interesting plan, you didn't think any of how to use that massive part? Just the concrete?
Just concrete.
Just concrete.
Yes.
So you could live there in the concrete, right? Totally contrast the two worlds. One is tea ceremony, and the other one is inside that part. Or I do not. It's interesting and elegant, but it's not fully convincing to me. If you say that,
I think there is a Taiwanese painter, Jimmy. I don't know if you saw his painting. It's your drawings reminds me of his works, but he is a cartoonist, but you are an architect. So I think you're just doing this project. You're very, very talented. I think you're just catching a mood at a certain moment, at a certain place. You know, so for example, the rye grows, right? So they cut it, and you lose these rye anymore. So, but you're only at this moment when the rye are this tall, and you are sitting there. You're not thinking about how to prepare the tea, how the space, where you store the tea leaves, where you get the water, this kind of thing. Of course, you did it when you were a freshman, so that's fine. But to continue develop your talent, you should think more about how, like Mr. Dang said, why do you want this thickness of this concrete while there is no use to it, right? So I suggest that you have to think more instead of just locking yourself at one moment, one instant, and one place.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to really make one comment. I mean, I think it's a very nice project. I'm very much impressed. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised. You're first year, right?
Yes.
Without knowing much about the architecture, like
Yes.
knowledge and making the space, to me, it's like you are focusing on the fundamental thing about architecture, like feeling and seeing and approaching things. The most interesting things to me, when I see your project is like when you get into the building, you can see the vertical field of space as vertically, and then when you go into the space, it changes to the horizontal. That's very, very, very intriguing. But my question is, the form is not just a form, it's more like a monument to me. So what that form has to do with the width field? I mean, if it's a very personal place for meditation, but what that form has to do with your feeling? I mean, within the horizontal width field and one box, what does it mean? What that form has to do with the creating the space?
呃，我用中文讲，你可以讲，我再翻译哈。他说他对你的印象很深，就是说这个你看上去像垂直的，然后但是进去看的时候呢是水平的，就是说你这样的一个形式，你在思考的时候是怎么思考的？就是比较诗意的，还是比较什么的？
I think it's just I didn't think that but I want the window like very long, so I think it's a coincidence.
Okay.
Okay,
Good
so
words.
yeah, 我喜欢 and so I want to know the 关系 between the space and the program.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, it's time. Next.
Okay, next we have Qian Yiyuan from China.
I am Qian Yiyuan from China. This is one of my third-year project in Tsinghua University. It's a renovation project, renovation of an old apartment called apartment number 13. From the 1930s, a huge amount of apartments were built everywhere in China to provide residential space. They gradually formed an urban texture of parallel city, as you can clearly see in this picture, one apartment next to another. And apartment number 13 is among them. Next, please. Next, please. From the viewpoint of the people, you can always see through the whole street, and the facade of the building are always very plain, and the public spaces lack liveliness. Next, please. And so here comes the renovation project. So where do I start? As you can see that apartment number 13 is surrounded by a lot of trees. And this is the most prominent feature of the original site. I want to start from this. Next, please. And if you cut from here, next, please. You can get this. And you can see there are very vast grounds between each building. And these places are abandoned places. They are not in use, but they are full of plenty trees. And on the contrast, people squeeze in very small spaces inside the building. And my idea is to grow a group of small houses around the original building and create a very commodious residential atmosphere. To be more specific, firstly, I would make full use of the original tree. The newly built part would follow the texture of the original trees on the ground. And secondly, the texture of parallel city actually creates a lot of negative spaces between each building. So I would make the newly built part enclosure them and make every negative surface become a front. And thirdly, to emphasize the historical value of the original building, the newly built part, the sloping roofs would follow the trends of the original building. And finally, we can get this ground floor plan. The old building is in the middle. And there are private gardens, and there are bigger public grounds, and there are winding alleys linking them together. Altogether, they form a very cozy residential place, and the original vast vacant land is fully in use. You can also see this from the model. And besides, this proposal does very little structural change to the original building. Most part of the old apartment could be utilized. And you can see from the reconstruction part plan, most of the original building's walls can be remained. And there are also other units of different size to suit different family. And altogether, they make a very commodious atmosphere. The original vast vacant land is fully in use, and there are small private gardens, and there are winding alleys, and there are streets, public gardens, and open spaces. The nature and people combine with each other very harmoniously. And at last, I want to say that this renovation is not only for the apartment number 13. There are many buildings like apartment number 13 in my homeland, China, and pattern of parallel city is also everywhere. How it can rouse people's attention to think more city, the urban texture, instead of the single architecture itself, and to think more about the remnant of history instead of the merely new things. That's all. Thank you.
Another question?
Can you tell us a bit about the kind of people that live in the old apartments, and in your intervention, in the new renovation, and the addition of new houses, what kind of people are you introducing to this area?
All kinds of families, and this building is originally in a residential area, a very huge residential area. There are very big families living in this area, like grandparents, parents, and children. And so this house is also designed for this kind of families. They can share a very cozy house with a yard inside their house. And between the houses, there are also bigger yards for open spaces. And there are winding alleys, very interesting spaces, instead of the original vacant and straight streets. And it would be very cozy, I think.
When it is redone, any thoughts on that?
I'm sorry?
Who will finance this when you rebuild this whole thing? Will the people themselves fund it?
No, I haven't thought about that. I think at least not the people themselves. Maybe.
Are there additional units which will come in, or the number of people will remain the same, number of families?
How many numbers
Yes.
of families? I think it's about 30 to 40.
So all 40 will be re-accommodated. No additional units will be built.
I'm sorry? No?
You have existing 30 to 40 families there, or 35 families.
Yeah.
Same families will be re-accommodated.
Yes, same family, same number of families.
Same number
but
of
the
families.
space they are living is expanding. They no longer live in the narrow space. I expanded their living space.
Okay.
I think your project and the last one are two extremes. You know, the last one doesn't care about reality, and you pay all the attention to all the existing things. But I think my suggestion is that it's a very good way to preserve what it is, right, and extend and transform it to a new life. I would suggest for the next step, maybe you can study a bigger area. You know how because the extent of preservation must be limited in a way for financial reasons or for regulatory reasons. But maybe you can study a little bit wider area to see how it affects the whole region, because things around may be changing. And the second concern may be another reality, which is parking, right? So how do you resolve that? So that's just my suggestion for your further study. But I think it's a very, very good way of preserving the memory and extend the use of it.
There is an underground parking lot. I'm sorry I didn't mention it. Thank you for your suggestion.
I think you designed the whole building is very carefully. You break the scale and so make the space between the buildings, right? So that creating some sort of community space, which is very nice. But my question, and what a little bit suspicious about what you are doing, is like, in many times the architect creating the community space, but also in many times it doesn't work. It's like you suggesting the open space, public space, and in order to work, make the space really useful for the community, It's not. It doesn't. It's not should be a leftover space or just vacant space. Somehow you have to connect with the programs, or you have to very carefully with the. You have to relate to the program and each buildings, and somehow. Is there any strategies to make couple of public space you suggested? How that works with the people live there, or what they can use their space for? Something. Do you have any idea about what those public space for? How they use it?
We have. Do you mean that? How do people use these public areas? We did some research before starting this project to ask questions to the original residents, and they told us that they don't have a place to play badminton with their child and play table tennis and just sitting under the tree and chat with neighborhoods. They don't have a place to do this, so I created a lot of public places for them to do this. I think they will be utilized fully.
I understand, but when you see the public space, most of the public space facing the wall.
Yeah.
It's not actually front. So, in order to create a really like a community atmosphere of the space, that space has to be somehow connected with the program or like a view from the house, something. But most of the space you create is like, to me, is like a space between next to wall, something. So somehow, what do you think about those? All the space is very similar conditions. It's not different. To me, it's all the same space. It also the size of it is different, but the quality is the same to me. What do you think of that?
She didn't think about it. Is it?
I think originally those high walls create some negative spaces inside our town because no one is using that. But if I enclose them with some trees or some newly built parts, some lower parts, not the high walls, it will become like a public ground, and people will feel comfortable to stay there instead of just passing by. So I still think the public grounds are okay.
I make some comment. I think this scheme is more problem solving in terms of design concept, and it didn't quite well to research this district human behavior, like elderly people or kids. So I don't know if you have another drawing about landscape or like a foreground design. You have any landscape design, like how this court to acting with people's behavior? You have any other drawing? Or just this drawing?
Landscape, do you mean this?
Yeah. You have anything about this? Because once you renovate the older district, they have the people there are different, or their next generation, their behavior are different. So if you do something more related to exterior space, it would be much interesting. Also, in terms of design concept, it's not quite strong enough to present your idea. Yeah, that's my suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's time.
Thank you, Jian Yi Yuan. Without further ado, we will continue with the presentations this afternoon. First of all, we have contestant number 9, Lee Srey-pik from Cambodia.
Good afternoon. My name is Lee Srey-pik. I come from Cambodia, year 2, semester 2. And recently, we've been asking ourselves if we could actually kind of create the formula that could tell a story behind our project, or maybe combining the image or the story, the image or drawing that could actually sort of tell the story behind the architect. But can we really do it? Yes, we can. But before we moving on to my project, I would like to briefly tell you about Cambodian Phnom Penh history and religion. Cambodia, Phnom Penh is the capital city of Cambodia, where it was found in 1372, and it was start to develop the architectures and the land from the east to west side, where during French colonial we divided Phnom Penh into two parts, which is Khmer village and French village. And as for Cambodian religion, from the start of Cambodia, we are practicing in Hindu religion. However, during 13th century, we changed our national religion to Buddhism. Proceeding back to our project, because of our history and cultures, we decided to choose the site that is the intersection between the two villages, which is from the Wat Phnom, located at French village, and Independent Monument that located in Khmer village. And this site is also surrounded by the important buildings such as National Museum, Royal Palace. And if you look at this map, you could see that this site was in between Wat Alam and Chatamuk River. In this site itself, we also have the statue called Prekum Long, where it was the Hindu statue. It was well known to be one of the oldest statues in Phnom Penh, and was found in 1535 during Wat Alam was built. People worshipping him because they believe that he is the light that guides them through the history, guide them for a better life. However, because of our change in religion, they lost the respect in him. And in order to regain those beliefs, I wanted to choose the ideas of using Prekum Long with the wall painting of Wat Alam at the back of our side to create the maze of memory, a wall that tells story, a floor that guides you through history. But what is the purpose of this concept? I want to revitalize the cultures and the respect of the statue and interpret it with a new side of space for modern society to create worship areas and the new space for exhibition hall for modern people. And with that, in order to achieve this concept, I tried to use the structure of floor plan in pagoda with this floor plan of Angkor Wat. And the first outcome was the rectangle shape with the 4 opening and the statue in the middle. And then I tried to develop it in more curved shape in a modern form, and this is the first outlook. After that, because of this round column shape, I tried to make it more into this iconic building column, where the first, and this is the final outcome of it. And because of what we've gone through, this is the master plan, where we have a 3 strong connection. On this one, the middle, and the last bit, it makes the connection between the riverfront and Wat Alam. And with the floor plan, we have the pond and the worship areas in the middle, while at the edge of the other side, we have the wall exhibition area and the coffee shop. And this is the elevation section, where you could see that using the leveling to recreating the image of the worship area. For the material, instead of using ornamentation for our building, I tried to use local materials such as local wood, power stone, and create sandstone. However, for the glass, I decided to use double glazing glass, where it reduces the heat. And this is the exterior view, the coffee shop, the worship area. And in conclusion, I hope that this project would be the new centerpiece of the surrounding complex in Phnom Penh, and it's also showing different side of Cambodia's architecture. And please enjoy the video. can it have a bit more? Because only 1 minute this video.
No?
I have one question for you. What is the program for this building? And when I see your program, your project, then I can see a lot of open space towards the street and with the inside. So there is a wall between the street side and inside space.
Yes.
So could you explain what's the program of this building and what your intention to making the barrier from the street to the inside? So.
Okay. Actually, we try to create. Can I? Wait a minute. Please. We try to create this project by creating a wall, craft wall on the each side of the building that inspiring from the wall painting in pagoda. However, because of the indoor, they use wall painting, but for us, it have the outdoor. So I try to craft it. It's like more durable to it, and by that, this wall craft would tell the whole story of Phnom Penh, like from the start of Cambodian to the end of Cambodian. And for the floor plan that guide you through history, meaning that the floor plan, when you see the floor plan, we have 3 connections on this one here. The 3 connections, and this part I want to representing Mekong River, the water flowed in Cambodia, whereas it flowed through this part, which called the worship area, where's the location itself. And it was known as representing Chatamuk River. At the back of this one is representing Lower Mekong. So the flow of the water shows the strong axis of this one, and it's also connecting each side to this one.
Lai, may I ask you a question regarding the program itself? I think you are trying to produce a narrative, right? A story, a narrative
Yes.
of Cambodian culture. And if we take a leaf or an example from Buddhist architecture, we know that there are certain ways in which you have to read paintings,
Yes.
sculptures,
Yes.
and then finally, of course, the adoration to in this case, to Preah Kamlong, you know. So my question to you is very simple, which is, how do you imagine the rituals in this space? Because our reaction was first looking at this, we thought this was looks like a bus station, you know, where you wait for buses, right? But it's not, because along these walls are very serious
Yes.
depiction of either the life of Buddha or the life of this Hindu deity that gave some qualities to Phnom Penh.
Yes.
So maybe you can explain to us why these 2 walls and how is that narrative of the Hindu gods and Buddhism mixed into this?
Actually, what we're taking part from Buddhism was that Buddhism, we're taking the part of the structures around these areas. They having a wall painting inside this area. And for the Hinduism, it's the floor plan that have 4 intersections, where the middle part, they usually putting the statue inside, like representing the goddess of this religion. And as a statue, why I put it like as a open out, like the outdoor, because the statue, normally they put it to this, they normally put it at outdoor because they said that the statue have, like, they put the statue outside where the head of the statue facing to the sky. That's why I try to put, like, taking each part of this Buddhism and Hindu to remix it to make it another one like this.
May I make a comment? I think the initial prototype you choose is very nice. Once you make a diagram transformation, you lost its original quality. That's why I said like a bus station or something, because the form you're using and the quality of that symmetry, religious atmosphere is lost in your final result. That's my comment.
Okay, thank you. It's time.
Thank you.
Next.
Thank you. Next we have Jia-sang Lee from South Korea.
So I want to say this work is very the sad thing. The students was dead after the select, and so she will make a presentation for him, and so it's not out of judge. Okay.
But the student passed away.
I say this is a memorial. Okay. And so we don't need the question.
Hello everyone, I'm Chelin. Today I'll be presenting on behalf of Tessa. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry to say that Jae-sang has passed on. The one consolation in this sad time is that I'm an architecture student too, so I can present his work. As you will see from this presentation, Jae-sang was a very creative and thoughtful architect. So to give the building a purpose, we choose a unique client. His name is Joey and he's an artist. Actually, he is based on Jean-Michel Basquiat, Jae-sang's favorite painter. The Joey is a successful graffiti artist, and as is the tendency of the people in his field, he has very free spirit in nature. So he gets ideas from everywhere, most of them his trivial everyday life. So he wants a house that can give some fresh and innovative idea, and he doesn't like to be fixed down, since then he can no longer use them for inspiration. To match Joey's personality, we tried to bring three concepts to the house. First, open space. Joey is open-minded and does not want to block his stream of conscious need with words. Next, confusion. The main aspect of this house derives from Penrose triangle. The Penrose triangle confuses the inner part and outer part. The same principle is applied to the house with the interaction of the ramp and the walls. So you can feel confused when you walk along the ramp that is inside and outside by turns. Finally, impermanence and randomness. The house harnesses unpredictable experiences that generate ideas. In this case, weather. The design also incorporates weather, an idea that weather is impermanent and random. It applies concept to produce some random effect, and weather is the key factor in generating impermanence and ever-changing impression throughout the house. So we choose three elements of the weather: the rain, wind, and light. The water is mysterious and free from elegance. You can see the house is designed to accept rain and make it flow throughout the whole building. The blue line is that flow. And there's special area to welcome rain. The shower. The shower has no ceiling, so you can feel free when you bathe. What about the shower on a rainy day? But Jae-sang figured the rain is also water and can improve your shower experience. The second element is wind. The wind is most frequent surprising guest of this house. Wind always follows us around, but rarely does it get invited to enter a building. But in this house, the wind brings new and unconventional feeling. Moreover, it also acts as an invisible wall and forming boundaries throughout the whole building. Finally, the exceptional element is light. The composition of the house is perfect to absorb and use most of sunlight that shines on the building. The biggest consideration for site was that the sun's movement could be witnessed all day long. So the house conveys a different impression according to the sun's location. As you can see, the house is suitable to inspire an artist like Joey. So it may be fanciful, but it is a source of creativity and in its structure and in its link to nature. Jae-sang would be happy to know the first and the last project in our work has been presented to you. Please feel free to ask any question you have about the house. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's a very sad thing. He was died by accident, and so at first I think I selected another works, but it's very memorial, and so I invited him. Okay, thank you. Okay, next.
Next contestant is Jesslyn Bhatia from Indonesia.
Good morning, judges and all the audience. My name is Jesslyn Bahtiar. I came from Indonesia at Petra Christian University. My school project is about symbolic architecture of dance theater, and my choice is parkour. Parkour is actually not a dance, it's an art, an expression full of movement, and it's full of confidence and love-hate, but it's still swift. It changed the inside of the people. I saw parkour as something that interests to be taken as a topic for my design. But I'm not taking parkour itself, but I make it into parkour-inspired dance, so it's not the real one. So I saw what I take as the prominent essence of parkour is the limitless soul of parkour inside. I saw it that it can change people from afraid into a brave one. And like this, we as normal human, we saw a wall and floor as our boundaries. But parkour people, they love to move freely, and if they see this wall around us, they would like to use it as a place to walk, a place to move around, a place to run, and they will use the wall as a floor, so there is no boundaries between wall and floors. So where it should be, as a limitless design, I want to make it in place in a limitless site. What I want to tell you stories of that is important about the site, which is related to the image of the parkour, is that this site, it is full of abandoned old shops. It is placed in the center of my hometown city, Surabaya city. It used to be the glorious place in Surabaya, but it is now abandoned, and it's full of vintage store and heritage hotel, and it's full of memory. While this street, it's full of modern people, full of mall, plaza, and then I take this place in the middle to connect the street of modern life and the old life, because people who came from the street cannot see the street, and this street cannot see the street. They have to move to the corner to see what's the next life, the next side. So I want to make no boundaries between the old times and also new times and modern life, to see the connection with the old time. This is the site, and there is a hotel with the flag above it that I want to respond. In the skyline, I want to my building as become a completion of the site. It will complete the skyline. There is an apartment under construction, and people will see my building as something that will be interesting from their rooms. And as a bonus, they will become a background of warrior monument in front. So these are the questions, and these are my process as symbolic architecture. What I want from parkour is their limitless and limited soul. And then as a reference here, I take limit as the ends of line. Line have limits, and then it's grounded. And then for limitless, I saw limitless as an endless circulation. Not the shape of endless symbol, but the circulation that is abstract and limitless, they can go back through. And also limitless is close to connotations of sky. Sky is the limit, so I make it floating. Here is the diagram. These are the two main streets that I want to connect. And then I make a thin building reaction for the site. And then I separate the characters between limit and limitless. This one is the limit, and this one is going to be the building for the limitless parkour one. And then I make the mesh to twisted. Twisted is because I want to make it endless circulation, and then I divided this one to respond the hotel here so that people can see each other, and I make the material transparent to see the surroundings, and then the red columns.
Thank you. So you just show us the slides.
Yep. These are the designs. Public education in front. The flag that I want to see
need.
reaction.
It's just a show.
Beginner, expert.
Okay, any question?
It's a video but cannot play, so it's my design. Thank you.
If not, question?
My question is, can you explain a bit your plan? It's hard to understand without your explanation about your plan.
What?
So can you go over the explanation about your plan in detail? The plan? Plan. Show up the plan.
In this slide, I only have the upper plan. This one, but the layout ground, I can only show it through render because it's more explained in render.
So they explain about the program with the plan or perspective, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. This building, when I show you the diagram. These red columns have the meanings of not as structural, but also the meaning of connection. No matter how limitless you are still limited because we are parkour people are human. And the tunnel here are going to make people connected to each other. There is always a public education to introduce parkour in the front, also the same from that side, and people will pass through here and they will see the important flag here. It used to be the most important flag in the hotel because it's related to independence of Surabaya city. So I want to respond it, and it will be shown at this render. And this render, parkour is about expression. So through this tunnel, as they walk, they can see the beginner class in the underground. It is humble because it's still flat, and also they can see the beginner class, and they can express themselves in interactive world through the tunnel, and they can see the other side and also the flag that I don't want to block. So it's going to be responsible design for the site. This is the transition between paradox that I want to show between limitless and limit. So these are the transitions. People will have their activities semi-outdoor, and it will be felt that they are the beginner here and the expert is here. If you want to be more obvious, for the upper plan, I have a video, if I may, but I don't know. It's up to you.
Okay,
For
okay,
this
thank you.
one.
So we don't have time, so thank you. So next. So you comment next.
Thank you, Jesslyn. Next, we have Myung-Hui Shin from South Korea.
First of all, it's my great honor to have a chance to share my project with you all today. My name is Myung Shin from Hongik University, South Korea. The museum project is located in Insadong, one of the most popular and crowded areas in Seoul. One of the unique characteristics of the region is that there are many Korean traditional architecture called Hanok, and also modern architecture coexist with it. For this reason, this is one of the few areas where you can experience a dramatic contrast of old and new in Seoul. As a famous the museum project is as a famous destination in Korea. The site has numerous locational benefits in commercial perspective, but a huge floating population and heavy traffic around it have been always a big issue in this area. Especially, the front part of the site is right next to a subway exit, and the western part of the site is consisted with popular restaurants and cafeteria within Hanok. For this reason, I'm proposing a promenade where people can get away from the busy and complex inside street for a while and communicate with each other in a relatively silent and relaxed urban environment to take a good break. To establish thus, overall messing of the proposal is mainly organized horizontally with well-designed sunken garden, considering a low-leveled surrounding context with Hanok. Regarding to the overall circulation, visitors approach to main entrance through the stepped culture park, and the exhibition continuously directs visitors to B1 level, where the main exit of the venue is located. During this circulation process, there exist several resting pockets on the right side of the museum to support visitors' holistic cultural experience. A little bit more details about the terraced culture park. The zone is consisted with several sized rectangular units to provide various spatial activities on the promenade. For example, some boxes create sitting areas, skylights, and even small exterior galleries, activating visual connection from inside toward the outside. In terms of sunken garden, the main purpose of the space is to separate the museum experience from the complexity of the city. While visitors going down toward the sunken garden, they can face the central garden surrounded by the museum and feel some sort of enclosedness. Inside the sunken garden, various internal visual connections can be activated. Finally, the museum is respecting all the traditional traces around the site. A small street at the west side of the site is providing an urban promenade while people can feel the old and the new of Seoul simultaneously. In addition, a small garden behind the cafe along the street provides an urban pocket while people can look over the museum and take some rest for a while, even they don't visit the museum. Thank you. Thank you for listening my presentation so far. Thank you.
Okay, any question?
Okay. So your topic is especially focused on the work. And you do a nice presentation and nice models. But I find your picture show your model is, the totally is birth view. So how do your presentation show your topics? Because I think the best perspective is from the rear view, because like the last pictures, it's a bird view. And before, also it's a bird view. But you're talking about is totally work. So the view, the view is need according to the, so this you can tell us the real stories. But this, we are teacher or architects can imagine it. But I a little bit doubt you can really to understand if you work in your design space, what is your really feelings. This is very important.
Is it meant it is important to work and what
Mention is your topic and the presentation is different. It's surprise.
Huh?
It's just a comment.
어때? Yes or not? 네, 아니요. 네, 아니요. Yes or not? 작품하고 지금 설명한 게 전혀 다르다는데 어떻게 생각해?
She said, I'm sorry, but 3D model is different the rear, so she can put the right thing. So.
No, you don't need to apologize. Yeah. So yes or no, it's okay. Different or 달라, 안 달라.
That's okay.
약간 다른.
It's a comment.
Testing. Oh. I think the scale of this building is quite interesting. It is an institutional building set in a very fairly traditional neighborhood, rather on the edge of a traditional neighborhood in Sadong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now my question to you is how, because I don't get a sense, I get a sense of the massing, but I don't get a sense of the architecture. Is this like what you showed, all glass, all white?
Oh, yes.
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
So,
It's just comment, yeah? And so you don't need to apologize. You say
it's
yes
all
or
glass.
no.
Is it all glass and is it all white?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry?
Gross.
Yeah?
It's all glass, all white.
Okay. Okay, thank you.